Welcome back. Every Wednesday after the show, I am having a webinar with my good friend Joe Hagan from Wealth Colony, where we're explaining to people different ways they can add to their portfolio, add to their retirement account, and find solutions to getting away from the volatility and risk of the market and earn income while you sleep. That's the Apex program. And Joe Hagan joins us right now from Wealth Colony. Joe, we've discussed the digital world and the data economy many times. The last time you were on, we were talking about Datadog, DDOG, and how that stock had doubled in 6 months. If anything, this coronavirus seems to put more emphasis on companies to be digital and agile. You always are discussing the safe tech model, proven management that allows individuals to participate in big data and monetize that. Tell us a little more about what the average entry-level investor needs to know.
So what the entry-level investor needs to know, that this is not a place for novice investors. You need those that have the technical savvy, experience, and know-how on how to get the most out of data mining, or any mining for that point, from that standpoint. And a lot of it is really monopolized by major players. So you kind of have to have an edge. And with SafeTech, their management team has a proving track record, with data centers, with software coding for big Fortune 500 companies. But ultimately, I would say what they need to know is we've always competed since pre-launch very effectively with price, right? The cost of the equipment and the cost of the power. And that's through the relationships that SafeTech has. And it's not something that the individual investor would normally have access to.
So just to put it in layman's terms, I know you're going to break it down a little more in the 2:30 webinar today. I hope you guys out there will join us and listen in. You can go to Wealth Colony /LLTV webinar. But just to break it down, if somebody said, hey, I want to get involved in this big data economy, I want to start making some money for myself off of it, and they go out and they buy a piece of data mining equipment, they do their homework, they put it in their basement in a rack, they're paying retail rates for power. None of that model works. And if you don't have a company that is already buying the cheapest power and at critical mass and with 24-hour support and expertise, there's really no way for retail people to access this, is there?
That's absolutely true. And let's just say you did. I mean, when it comes to what we're doing, what SafeTech is doing, I've done it before back in 2014, and I had access to know-how IT guys, but yet I still had to maintain the heat and the cleanliness of all of the equipment that I had in my garage, in my office in town, in my spare bedroom here. And it's a lot of work. So it thankfully became worth it, but you would rather have it be passive and in the hands of smart people. And also you need to have an edge. And what SafeTech has is something called, they're at the forefront of something called liquid immersion technology. The biggest evils of data centers are dirt and heat. And so what this technology allows them to do basically is remove a heavy casing off the data card that goes into the equipment rack. And that plastic, that big heavy equipment, is a fan that air cools the chips. Well, when they remove that, they could put 10 chips in the place of one. They submerge it into liquid and they keep it clean and cool. And ultimately, they're getting twice the output with 40% less power. And if a data center runs liquid immersion technology, it requires 80% less manpower, which is huge in any environment, not alone a pandemic environment. So they have an engineering and design disruption that really gives them an advantage. And you want to be involved with a company that is staying ahead of the curve, because you want to make sure they're making each and every lease payment for you, meeting every obligation.
So Joe and I are both shareholders in a company called InvestView, which is the parent company of SafeTech. And when you talk about an edge, this whole liquid immersion technology takes a lot of friction and a lot of heat. It also cuts down on the air conditioning you need to keep the centers. So you're operating at a way more efficient pace where almost no one in the world can really compete.
Absolutely. They are at the forefront of this. And I am an expert as a layman in liquid immersion technology, just learning about it. But as a layman, as one of your viewers presumably would be, there is no way I would have access to it without having a partnership with SafeTech and all of their years of experience and relationships, in building data centers and building power plants, and knowing the big equipment manufacturers that really came up with this engineering and design disruption. So it's sometimes, who you're partnered with as well as what you know. And in this case, for someone like me, it's, who we're partnered with, because, they're the ones that are at the forefront of the relationships that brought this, to SafeTech.
Well, me and you, I know we're instituting these weekly webinars. I've spent the bulk of my career sitting there shorting stocks and looking for overvalued situations, and that kind of relies on volatility and stuff like that. What you're trying to explain to people in the webinars, and you're doing it, every week, they're informational. There is a Q&A. But there is a way to take the volatility out of the markets and get passive earned income without taking any principal risk.
Yes, sir, 100%. I mean, when people hear 20%, their antenna goes up, says maybe that's a little bit too good to be true. So we just simply do these webinars. They last, 20, 30 minutes. They're informational only. And, if you have more questions, you can ask anonymously right there. Or you can go on a Calendly right there and just set up an appointment to do a follow-up.
So, all right, we're going to keep running that lower third. Thank you, Joe Hagan. Thank you for being there. Check out the webinar. I'll remind you a couple more times. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back right after this.
Most financially successful people own assets that make them money while they sleep. They usually own real estate, vehicles, intellectual property, equipment, and more. These assets make passive income through leases, subscriptions, royalties, and fees that don't require time, energy, or attention. Your assets do the work, and you collect the check. So what kind of asset should you buy? The most valuable companies in the world, like Amazon, Google, and Apple, all have the same thing in common. They make a majority of their revenue from data technology assets, storing, collecting, processing, and providing data. It's all about the data. What if you could own data tech assets with a low upfront cost? Introducing Apex, a proprietary technology built to process and mine data and render artificial intelligence and 3D gaming at exceptionally high rates. Apex Tech has partnered with SafeTech, a subsidiary of a publicly traded company called InvestView. SafeTech's business model leverages Apex technology to disrupt the multi-trillion-dollar data tech industry, giving you the competitive advantage. SafeTech's growth strategy is to capture a significant share of the market. SafeTech will enter into a 60-month lease with owners of Apex systems. Why would they do that? Why not just buy all the equipment themselves? The same reason most companies lease instead of own, to scale quickly without the upfront costs and for the tax benefits. So how do you get started? You purchase an Apex system. Then you can lease it to SafeTech for 60 months at a rate of $500 per month. That's a total of $30,000 paid to you over the life of the lease. So what's your responsibility besides purchasing the Apex system? Nothing. During the lease, SafeTech is responsible for any maintenance costs to keep things running for you. Just collect a check every month for the next 60 months. This tremendous financial opportunity positions you to follow the strategies of the financially successful. You can leverage data technology to produce passive income that generates revenue without your time, energy, or effort. This is what is meant by creating multiple streams of income. But the opportunity to participate will not last forever. If this concept fits your financial goals, take action today while you still have the chance.